DIY.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Curtis King Reacts. I hope all is well where you're at. Thank you so much for choosing to tune in. I know it's an NBA Finals night. I believe it is. My team ain't in it. I'm going to still watch it afterwards, though. But shout out to you for being here. Thank you so much for showing so much support for everything that we got going on here on the channel as we pivot in new directions. Shout out Che, what's the good with you? Peace and blessings to you and your family. All is well on this end. I cannot complain. So, as you see the title list, we have not only the topic of Scarlett, who's an emerging artist right now that is making a lot of, or has been making a lot of a buzz, but making a hell of a buzz for her name. But it was an interview recently that she had on Vlad TV that was a little bit surprising to me, to say the least. Lit Up 7, what's good? It was a little bit surprising, especially when you see how much support she's getting from those who are veterans and legends in this game. So we're going to break that down. I got a few other stories here, some more stuff from producer culture, a Russ video I want to get into, a video that helps musicians look at social media in a different way, some gems from Currency. And yeah, we should be having a full. Oh yeah, and then also too, what it actually looks like to use. What's the name of that damn thing? Music MTV Generator. You hear me talk about it. That's where I got my start. But what does it actually look like? Somebody has footage and they posted it up on Instagram, and I want to share that with you and react to it. Free Rhythm Spoons. What's good with you, fam? Flips World. What's good? St. Joe Beats. Peace to you and yours. I used that when I was a kid. Man, ain't that crazy? Ain't that crazy? How a PlayStation started so many music careers. When you really break it down, it's crazy. JC Russell already says, man, she came to the labels with her hands out. Bad move. We gonna get into this right now, but it's not even just the fact that she's going to the labels. It just makes you want to question, like, respectfully, like, damn, who's giving game to her? Because I never thought I'd be saying these words on this channel, but she got some really solid advice from DJ Vlad, who kind of put her on game about how the major label payment system works. Look, everybody has different experiences, and I think it's important that however you get the information, you get it. But I was surprised, to say the least, man, because, you know, these labels are what they are, but you got to know what you're getting into so that you can get what you need to get from them. Just Jux, what's good? Hustle Music Productions, what's good, big dog? How you doing? All right, so what do you say? Oh, no, first and foremost, do me a favor before we get into these stories. I need to see that like ratio go up. Low Frequency, what's good? One of the finalists from last night. Mike Harb, how you doing? Hit that like button. Let's break this down though, because man, it's. Let me just tell you this about me, because this really doesn't have anything to do with the story itself, but whenever I see an artist that has something special, I like to take it upon me to follow them very early. Not when they go viral, but when they do something and I'm like, oh, I think the general audience is gonna take a different liking to them. And I feel like this artist out of New York, Scarlett, they're gonna take a different liking to her. They're kind of positioning her to almost be because of, you know, the story that she's had, and there's so much detail already in her life story. They're kind of positioning her as almost like a female DMX. She has a song right now that's crazy buzzing. It's called "This Is New York," and yeah. So we're gonna get into this thing because it's a lot. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it's a lot. But we're going to be respectful. We're going to get into these stories and make it make sense. What's good, King James? That's creepy, lit up said. When you hear her, like when you first see it, it's like, yo, that's crazy. But that's the same thing I said about DMX. Like, hey, yo, what's going on with his voice? That's crazy. But she got a song, get the F out of New York. You ain't welcome around here. What I look like telling you good morning. Get the F out of New York. Move the F back. Like she is coming with a very raw energy. It's not overly sexualized. It's like she just getting some shit off her chest. It's wild. It's wild. Her energy is wild, and it's getting the attention of folks like Swiss Beats, like The Locks. It's getting the attention of Busta Rhymes. She's definitely aggressive, but when you balance it out with her storytelling and her other songs that if you ever get a chance to listen to, if you haven't already, you just recognize the passion and less of the aggression. At least I do. And I think that we all got a story to tell. So I say we get into it. Crazy, crazy stuff though, man, when you see this video. So
DIY.
Okay, so I saw this pop up here on my Instagram as a clip. And then I decided to do just a little bit more digging about this DJ Vlad interview, Vlad TV interview with Scarlett. Scarlett is an artist from New York that is buzzing heavy and is getting all kind of cosigns in the industry from legendary artists that are kind of playing the big bro move or the big bro role, putting their arm around her and being like, look, we're going to take you into whatever rooms. We're going to take you to Funk Flex. Swiss Beats is one of those artists. Swiss Beats is one of those producers that has been kind of taking her under his wing. Busta Rhymes has showed all kind of love. I want to say Jada Kiss brought her out on stage, or maybe the Locks brought her out on stage to a sold out crowd because she has a song right now. First song she had that went crazy viral was called Glizzy Gobbler. Her energy is nothing to be played with, right? She's smiling right here. Her energy is nothing to be played with. They're positioning her almost to be, I mean, it's never going to be another DMX, but they're positioning her to almost be a female DMX. The latest song that she has, that she's been pushing for quite some time, is This Is New York. Move the F back. You know what I'm talking about? Like, wait. I don't know what part of the song I caught. I gotta hear it in my head. When I hear that beat, move the fuck back. This New York, you ain't welcome around here. Move the F back. I'm trying to censor myself. I ain't heard the censor version of that. Anyways, that song is buzzing heavy. It's got folks like, yeah, that's that New York energy we've been asking for. And she's delivering that. With that said, you see that it's like a balance in her personality in which there's moments where she gives you hell of aggression and then moments that are just like very feminine, very like curious of the world, very open to different perspectives. This was kind of discouraging, not on her part, but really when you start to think about all the legends that are around her. This interview here with DJ Vlad, they're talking about, I guess, the prior deal that she had with Epic Records and maybe even offers that she's gotten from other labels. And in the midst of this, DJ Vlad asks her a question that leads him to actually do some teaching about how labels work. DJ Vlad is a name that I know everybody has a strong opinion about, and I usually don't cover stories, anything with DJ Vlad, because of how strong those opinions are. This is one of them situations where it was like, you don't shoot the messenger. You just be grateful that it was delivered through someone. At least that's how it is for me. So let's listen to it. It's a shorter clip, but this is Scarlett talking with DJ Vlad on Vlad TV.
Okay, so with everything that started happening, with the features and everything else like that, the labels started to come around. I mean, you were talking about label meetings and so forth. Have you officially signed yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Are there some big offers on the table? Yeah.
Yo, could you believe, this record label going to try to offer me $100,000 to sign?
Hey, you see how quick that New York energy changed? You see how quick she was all like, yeah, they call her. Hey, you want to know about this one label? That's that New York energy. You gotta love it. I got homies. You gotta love it. You gotta love that energy from New York. She flipped, but she deserves to talk her shit. She's getting, like I said, the cosigns from left and right. But here's where she talks about how a label hit her with a really doo-doo deal.
$100,000? You gonna keep me in the hood? I'm trying to get out the hood. Y'all got all that money. Oh, these record labels got all these billions of dollars, and you can't give me 1 million out of the billions?
So, for context, I know I cut that in the middle of it, but for context, she's talking about a label that offered her $800,000, and based upon whatever she thought that was going to be calculated, she was like, that ain't enough to get me out the hood. That ain't enough to move anything over here. I need you to really make an offer that's life-changing, because the music that I'm doing is affecting a lot of people, and she has a vision of how huge she's going to ultimately be. So she's not even trying to hear it. But here's where things get really interesting.
I'll be back next time. But they never played with me like that again. Somebody offered $100,000. Somebody offered $250,000. Then now somebody offered $800,000, and we just gotta keep it going, man. Gotta raise the bar and raise the price up.
So initially it was less than $100,000 is what she was offered. Got it. Okay. The latest one was $800,000. It's getting closer to what she wants, which is ultimately the $1 million deal if she's gonna take a record label deal.
Hey, listen, right now you're buzzing and you got a lot of cosigns and there's songs that are reacting and going viral. Just tax them as hard as you can right now. You know what I mean? Get as big of a bag as you can. And really, but more importantly, just try to find the right situation.
I have a feeling that when she told Vlad, yo, I need that million, Vlad did some calculations in his head based upon what he's already been seeing with her buzzing and being connected to so many different names that he was like, only $1 million? And I feel like that's where he's kind of hinting at before he goes a little bit deeper into it.
Because ultimately, all these dollar amounts are all loans, right? It's not like they're really giving it to you in your pocket. They're saying, okay, we're going to give you $1 million, but you have to earn that back. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's really kind of like a bank. Like, okay, we're going to give you this $1 million, we're going to give you this budget and blah, 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 but you got to earn it all back until you see any profit after that.
Pay attention to her body language. You can tell when somebody is all ears and possibly, I can't read her mind, but possibly hearing something for the first time or hearing it put in this way for the first time. And I know sometimes artists that play like they don't know no better, like just to put the illusion out there. But this really, when I saw this, like, I don't know, like my heart kind of started to drop a little bit because I'm like, I hope somebody around you telling you about how these deals work, how these loans, these predatory loans work when it comes to major labels. I hope somebody is.
Which is the whole point. You don't want that $1 million to be the last
So
money
wait,
you
you don't keep the money they give you?
Not exactly.
When I tell you I watched that, and I've never met this young lady a day in my life. I followed her on social media. I'm excited to see a different brand of female hip hop be pushed to the masses. I think it's super dope that she's able to share so many different sides of her art. She does poetry, and she doesn't do it in a way where it's like it fits into a box. I love the fact that she's presenting her and the world is opening up to everything that she's presenting. That made my heart drop, though. As an independent, that made my heart drop because I'm looking at that and I'm like, you got all these folks around you, and not even just, I don't even know her team, right? Because her team could be somebody that is coming up with her. But all these damn folks around you that have been in the industry for as long as they have, nobody's had this conversation yet. And the fact that DJ Vlad is the first person to have this conversation with her, I'm a little discouraged about that.
Not exactly. They'll give you, if they say it's $1 million deal, they'll say, okay, you get a certain amount of money up front, but then we're going to budget $1 million for your project, meaning that $200,000 might come from, your promo tour. Like the label's going to have to pay for all that. Your hair and makeup. A female rapper is expensive. So, your stylist and your makeup artist, the label's paying for that, but you're really paying for it yourself, right?
Oh,
but they're going to lend you the money up front. They're going to say, this is part of your $1 million deal. But, this amount will go to your makeup artist. This amount will go to your stylist. This amount will go to your travel.
Remember that video we broke down where that guy was offering whoever was watching the TikTok? Remember it was a white guy in a dad hat, and he was offering a deal. And damn near felt like 70% of my audience was like, yeah, I'll take that deal. Give it to me. These are the things that they don't talk about. These are the things they leave in the fine print with the hopes that you don't have a lawyer that can comb through the fine print and find them. Vlad TV just broke down for her that there may be an offer that they tell you on the table that is very much the offer. Say it's $1 million. They're already incorporating expenses on your behalf, especially as a female MC, because there are certain expenses that a female MC will have that a male MC won't have. Well, hip hop is changing. I was going to say makeup budget, but I just seen a clip of Drake with yellow nails. So maybe that's shifting. But for right now in 2023, it's still pretty much where the female MCs have a different style of budget. And with that, it can be very expensive when you're talking about makeup, you're talking about the styling, you're talking about just all the preparations that go into that end of things, the look of things. And then on top of that, the normal expenses, the travel expenses, the studio expenses, the feature expenses. This is what they're already equating. See, the thing about comparing a bank loan to a record label loan that they really don't talk about, bank loans tend to ask questions about where the money is going to go, and they make a decision based upon what you present them. Sometimes I take you on your word. I've gotten loans from PayPal Capital, Working Capital, where you tell them, hey, this drop-down menu, decide what you're going to use this money for. And I said marketing. And here, you're approved for $25,000. It's a big difference between getting a loan like that, where they're not accounting for every single dollar, and getting a loan like this, where they've already put names to certain dollar amounts. They've already decided what you're going to do with the majority of your money. And by the time you get that other money, you now have to decide how much of this is going to actually be reinvested into things that I want to do independently within this particular deal. How much of this is personal expenses? And then what will I have left to do for my day-to-day livelihood? That's what's tricky about it, is that there's so much more a part of how you spend that loan.
This amount will go to the promo. This amount will go for your studio time. And, the whole point is that you want to sell a project that makes 2 or 3 million.
Right.
That ultimately, after you earn back that $1 million, then you'll have some profit at the end. But keep aware that that's how these labels work. It's not really $1 million in your pocket. I mean, maybe some deals are, but most deals are not like that.
Wow.
Fam, ask me why I do the content that I do. It's not because I expect that a Scarlett is going to come to Curtis King TV and watch a video from me. But I do this kind of content because I recognize that so many of you have the potential to be sitting in the very same seat that she's sitting in right now, with the same opportunities that she has right now with her. And me being able to see from my vantage point how many legendary, brilliant, creative minds that she has around her right now that are not telling her these very bare, basic ways that labels do business. In the beginning of this video, you could see how excited she was about all the offers that she's receiving. She's like, yo, it's getting good. So to me, that means that somebody is probably negotiating on her behalf, and she's putting a lot of trust in this person to negotiate the right deal for her. But I hope, because like I said, feel how you want about DJ Vlad. I salute DJ Vlad for even bringing that up. Now, he does a lot of stuff that I think puts folks in a position to where they can be locked up because it's incriminating. A lot of folks be telling on themselves. His platform don't always highlight the greatest things about our people, but that was a pretty decent moment. That was a moment that I'm still surprised at the first person that she's heard that from. Just making an assumption, 'cause I don't know her, but making an assumption, the fact that DJ Vlad is the first one to tell you that, who he'll tell you straight up for himself. He's the ultimate capitalist. He's the ultimate about making sure that by any means I deliver the content I need to deliver, by whatever income it requires. If I got to pay folks to be on the show, then I'll do that. But he's about his bread. He's about his views. He's about his flashback videos and all that good stuff. That, though, that is the part that can take down the most talented artists, not just her, but just anyone in general. As much talent as some of y'all have, as much talent and potential that you have, even being aligned with people, like I said earlier, being aligned with people who have been in this business 5 times the amount of years you've been into it, 10 times the amount of years that you've been into it. They've seen the worst of this industry. For that conversation not to come up first before somebody's negotiating on your behalf, like, do you know what you're getting if I go talk to these labels? I even salute Vlad, additionally, for telling her, look, you got a lot of motion right now independently. You've already got a lot of stuff going on independently. And you're doing so much that some people rely upon a label to provide for them. You have already done that with your own buzz. Now, not speaking for her, but I know certain artists, they're usually called industry plants. This is the most vulnerable place for them to be in right here. She has already been a part of a label deal before in the Capitol Records. There's a lot of artists who get signed and you never hear of them ever before. And their next second chance, or their second chance, comes when it looks like they're completely independent. And this is when a label puts all the money into that artist without you knowing they're putting the money into it, to make it look like their buzz is so ridiculous independently that when they finally do sign, everybody thinks it's a win because this person just did it on their own, pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, got no support, got cosigns from everybody in the industry just because of how hard they worked. And that can be you someday. That's what they'll push to you. Like I said, I'm not saying that's what it is for Scarlett, but I do see something so special in an artist like that. And when you hear, since they make the comparison, she says this is one of her favorite artists. She's most inspired by is DMX. When you hear the horror stories that DMX has spoken about, how this industry took advantage of him, took advantage of his ignorance in certain situations, took advantage of his addiction, and then by the end of it, they got more out of him than he got out of them. It's hard to see the possibility of something like that repeating. As a hip hop fan, as someone who sees the potential in this up and coming and emerging artist, somebody who's right there, it's discouraging to see, but I'm grateful that we're in a space now where not only does that information come to her publicly, but we're able to spread it amongst ourselves. We know, I mean, by now we've seen enough clips, if you've been following his channel, about what these labels, how they maneuver. But isn't that very interesting how the illusion doesn't add up to what it actually is when you sign on that dotted line? These are my thoughts. What are your thoughts, though?
DIY.
Get the F out of New York. You ain't walking around here. Move the F back. Move the pump, man. Move the head, man. Move the... I love that song. That shit is crazy. I love that song. I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. Talk to me, ladies and gentlemen. DK Jazzy Jeff talked about a particular time where instead of using the money for studio time, he purchased studio equipment and produced the recordings for his home. That was genius of him. But you know what I am more so concerned, and I think we would only know if we look at a contract, if the labels already know better than that, which I assume they do, and they've already made it a requirement for part of the money to go to their studio. A lot of these labels have in-house studios that they're able to see if you've clocked in or clocked out within it, and they'll make it part of the deal. To me, it's the same advancement in deals that you see in the NBA, where an athlete will, Chicago Bulls gets into like a moped accident, and then they changed the terms of contracts after that because I think he was a number 1 pick, if not a top 10, and his career was ruined because of that. So when they're investing that much money into you, they're going to make sure it's in the contract some way that they protect their investment. I looked up Scarlet Music. She def got that Casanova energy. I'm here for it. Yeah, she's got a really raw energy, man. Village Rock. Did you hear that? Did you see that too? You saw it all over her face, right? I promise you, when I was watching it, I was like, oh, this is new information. Like, I look at her and I feel like I've had the same conversation with my sister about something. She reminded me of one of my sisters. I feel like I talked to her and I could see it in real time. Like the dots connecting, and she's like, oh no. I'm glad somebody told me now. Hustle Music said, this is why I tell every artist I know to read Donald Passman's book at the very least. I just hope somebody shares some game with her. You know what's crazy? Like that is it is the best book. Everything you need to know about the music business is one you're talking about, right? From Donald Passman. But you know what it is? It's very dense. It's a lot of information. And I think that asking an artist to take it all research-wise in is asking a lot of these artists who, I don't make the wide assumption that they all had issues in school, but you're asking somebody to do college-level research on information that is ever-changing. That's why there's different versions of it, right? You're asking them to now take on the research that would usually be reserved for a lawyer or usually be reserved for someone who is already in that headspace and also be at the top of their game at their art form. I'm not saying that's an excuse. I'm not saying that that's a reason not to, but I'm saying that I understand why there's that disconnection. That book it's a huge book. And when you get in there, there's always something new that you can learn. But at the same time, if you're learning it, man, you got to learn more of it because there's more versions that drop every year damn near, right? Because the music industry is changing so much. Record label offer $1,000 distribution deal for artists in Morocco that make millions of views. I always tell them to stay independent and make that money outside streaming. Bro, your money goes up. Your money goes up. Your money goes up the more things that you're able to do on your own. Also, the leverage changes because when you're sitting at a table from across from somebody who only respects numbers. Think of this as, how many of you guys watch Shark Tank? Shark Tank is a really good example of this. How many times have you seen those billion-dollar investors turn some shit down immediately when they figure out it hasn't had any sales? It's the first question they ask. What are your sales from last year? What are you projected to have this year? And it's that. Why don't I drop more music frequently as a rapper? I just dropped an album. I dropped an album last year. And honestly, I'm in a new space as full-time content creator, full-time music producer, full-time content creator and artist. And I am walking into some newfound ground that I haven't seen anybody walk into. I'm not the first content creator that actually makes content and music, no. But I'll be honest with you, more frequently is not the focus because I have so many different things that I have to make sure that I'm focused on. And right now, just to keep it a whole stack with you, generally people find it more valuable for my content to be here than my music. So I create my music whenever I want to. But yeah, thank you for asking. Warner didn't want Prince financing his own music. They don't. Because how you going to sit in front of somebody and tell them to take this shitty ass deal when you've shown them that you've made that on your own or you've made close to that on your own, and with some more time, you'll do it. Same thing with Shark Tank. When you show them, you show Mr. Wonderful that you had sales that reached to 1 million, his deals changed drastically. Mark Cuban, same one. So the more that you're able to accomplish on your own, also, it'll make you start to look at these deals differently. Like, why do I really need your support? What machine am I actually asking to push me? And can I do that all on my own? Can I do that on my own? Scar's crazy dope. She got raw energy. I feel like she needs to learn from mistakes that were done by Taylor Swift, DMX. She also needs to learn from business moguls like Master P. I imagine it's a lot easier for us to say that on this side. But when you're in it and you're surrounded by people that you grew up thinking that I don't know what she thought, but under the assumption that she probably didn't think you'd be surrounded by these many people, who do you trust? Imagine meeting your favorite rappers that you grew up to from your actual city. And you're finally, they're not only are you doing business with them, they want to help push you. Who do you trust? How do you know they'll do you dirty until they do you dirty? And that question is the allure that brings so many artists into bad situations. No matter how many times we see these movies of artists like TLC and NWA get done dirty, in their mind, they'll be like, well, that was the 90s. Things have had to change now. Until you're there. They say money don't buy you happiness, but everybody wants to find out for themselves. I believe that saying, excuse me. So I think it's really easy for us to theorize on the outside. I agree with you, DK, for sure, but I think it's really easy for us to theorize on the outside because when it's all on you, oh my gosh. When it's all on you and you're around people that you look up to, who do you trust? But if I was her in that situation and I got that information, that'll be a real quiet drive home if I'm with my team. Because I'm thinking to myself, what's my next move? And why didn't the people that came around me telling me how great I am tell me about some shit like this? Why did DJ Vlad? He's the person, DJ Vlad is usually the person that you go talk to after you had the shitty deal. So, tell me what happened when you signed that terrible deal. Well, it was 2023, and he's the one you go and talk to afterwards. And then he makes flashbacks, and then he goes and talks to Boosie and tells Boosie, did you see this video right here? And then that's what he usually is, the roll up. He's not usually the person that's going to tell the artist, at least not on camera, like, hey, dog, like this, that's what a deal is, right? Yeah. Overwhelming, I bet. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, well, let's get to some more news. I got some more stories for you that I want to share with you. Crazy, crazy stuff, man. I certainly wish her all the best because I want to see her win. I really do.
DIY.
Okay, we'll come back here. Okay. So I have a clip here from one of my favorite Instagrams to react to in producer culture. Let me make this a little bit smaller real quick. All right, not that small, but this one I thought was pretty funny in that if I had $1 for all the producers that I've met that finally got their first placement, and before that placement dropped, they told the world, and they ain't have no placement no more, I'd have enough money to buy you a placement. I don't even know. This is a post where Producer Culture has made a compilation of two different producers, Sim and Pooh Beats, talking about, Sim, Pooh Beats, Eli Brown, Bugs Ronan, and they're all talking about the same topic of speaking too soon before a placement comes out. There's many different reasons why a producer might do that, but they all talk about sort of their code of conduct when it comes to getting their first placement or getting a placement and how they maneuver until that placement is actually released.
It's all coming together slowly, you know what I'm saying? I don't care how slow it might be, how quick it might be, bro. Like, I'm in it for all the ups and downs, bro. Like, I done had 15 songs of Future and only one of them dropped. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, people can't, like, I don't think about that stuff as much as I should, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, bro, I'm so locked in. I'm so focused on getting the job done. You know what I'm saying? That's all that matters to me, and I'm gonna get it done. So it's like, I don't care what's in the way, bro. I'm gonna get this shit done. You feel me? I'm gonna make sure everybody hears my stuff, and I'm able to inspire, and I'm able to motivate, and like, that's my number one. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and just having fun while doing it. So
I think Sim represents another end of producers that are getting placements that are not waiting on that placement to drop before they make their next move. Sim represents a lot of producers that this is their job, is to plant as many seeds as possible, to work with as many artists as possible, whether they're emerging, whether they're getting ready to pop, whether they're already present, whether they're a part of a writer's camp or a producer's camp. These are producers that are full-time producers that are there to work and get their placements. And Sim just said right now that when he locked in with Future, there were 15 songs that he did. And there really wasn't a need to go around talking about it or bragging about it or, you know, doing that thing that producers do when they get on social media and they be like, thank you, God. Or they be like, for all y'all that doubted me, the next few months ain't no mistake. Y'all gonna eat them words real soon. You know that energy? Shut up. Stop it. Stop. Get some help. He's saying that he's working so much that there's not enough time to sit there focused on the one placement that he may have because he locked in with 15 songs with Future. He's moving on to the next thing and allowing the chips to fall where they fall. Now, that is a luxury. Not everybody is afforded the same luxury, but I think there is something to learn from it if this is something that you want to pursue. Next one up.
Out there, this is going to
Pooh Beats.
be a #1 hit, and shit, I'm going to continue to work. I ain't even, to be honest, I don't even speak on my placements and shit, like, because I feel like that throw the energy off of it, too. You get to telling people, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I just continue to work, and then, like I said, they either hit me up or hit my manager up. He called me, be like, shit, you got a placement? All right, bet. Do my paperwork, and shit, let that shit be.
Niggas be thinking like,
because some people be too like anxious and shit. Like, I didn't call producers like, hey, we got a song on such and such. They calling me every day. Like, when it's coming out? That's why I was like, I don't even tell niggas no more, because it's like, you fucking the energy up. They about to call me and be like, we ain't even using no more because you so anxious. Like, you know what I mean?
niggas be thinking like labels ain't gonna hit you up, but they finna drop the song, they finna find you. Like,
yeah, they gonna. But like I said,
a lot of producers, especially those who've never got placements before or have never been in rooms with folks who move a certain type of way, don't know how to calm those emotions down or calm that excitement down long enough for the blessing that they want to brag about so bad, or the blessing that they are bragging about so bad, before it even comes to fruition. That represents so many damn producers, and it almost represented me, in that the first placement I got with Ab Soul was with a younger artist named, the first placement I got with Ab Soul, or when he signed to TDE, was with his label mate, it was a guy, younger guy named K Dot. He would come on to he would live on to become Kendrick Lamar. And I remember when Soul shot me a text and told me, "Hey, you got a spot on the project, and you got to keep this on the low. It's featuring K Dot." And I was like, "Oh shit." Because at that time, even though J-Rock was the biggest artist at TDE, that was still a major deal because everybody could feel that Kendrick was getting ready to be next. With that said, I learned very quickly by going back and forth to TDE studios and seeing they made it very clear. They had a checklist that they had on the wall that told you what the conduct what the expected conduct was of anybody that goes into these studio sessions. And I started to notice some people came in sometimes and you never saw them again. I was there pretty frequently because I learned pretty quickly by looking at that code of conduct. Matter of fact, that code of conduct, I think I've still been living by it because it had things like don't do no goofy shit, putting everybody on the camera. Don't be asking no ridiculous questions. It was more than a few that I looked at it and I just had it embedded that this is the way that you operate around a serious team. Every team is not the same way, but I can say one thing that I think is very common amongst all the different situations that I've been around as a producer. Staying secretive is very common. People do not want you out here revealing what their details are, especially if they feel like they're in competition with the people that you could be revealing these details to, especially if they're building up excitement or if they want their audience to be supremely thirsty for whenever they release. You blabbing around information with the potential to go viral because we all share the same internet compromises to a certain degree the push. And even if it is not enough to make a significant dent, the fact that you exist on a project and you don't have to exist on a project as a producer, I think is the reason why a lot of people get exited out of the rollout plan. We did a clip recently where there was a producer that was complaining about not being notified about his music or being able to hear the final draft before it actually went live. I've been there. Then I came to find out that especially in an era of music where leaking is not that challenging to happen, right? In an era of music where you could literally play something on your cell phone as a snippet and it can become a blog post on Hip Hop DX or All Hip Hop. If you still care about a traditional rollout, if you still care about building anticipation up, you are a liability if you're sharing everything. Why would I share anything with you? I've had album projects as me as an independent artist where I got ready to put the project out, didn't put the link out, and then somebody beat me to it that was amongst our circle and put the link out there just because they wanted to be first. I wanted to punch the dog shit out of that person. I wanted to cave their nose in. Don't do that. That's my shit. Don't do that. So I can only imagine how somebody feels when there's tens and tens of thousands of dollars circulating around this and a motor mouth producer is running around here talking shit, telling everybody how y'all doubted me. Y'all doubted me. Y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know. I can see if you're a collaborator, say you're a sample maker and Pooh Beats brings you into the room and you start acting goofy, they're going to look at him different. So why would they ever bring you back in there? Just be cool, man. Just be, like I tell people when they come on a live stream, just be cool, bro. Just be cool, man. If you don't know what to say, shut the fuck up. How about that? If you don't know what to say, producers in the room, because you around folks that you ain't never been around, you're nervous, they're influential, shut up. Laugh when everybody else laugh. Don't try to be the center of attention. You don't know what to say? Shut up and do what you're told. You on somebody else's clock. I said it.
When you get the paperwork.
Next one up is Eli Brown.
How long is that before the album? Like, do you have to be quiet for a bit? Like, when can you say, "Yo, boys, we got this joint"?
I mean, you're supposed to be quiet until it drops, period. Like, you don't want that to bad energy, and as well as you don't want to like mess up artists just roll out too. Um, I don't remember if I got it 2 days before or I got the day of. One of the two.
Damn. Okay. When you get the paperwork,
Shut up. Shut up. Stop doing all that damn. Stop doing all of that Twitter posturing. Oh, I see everybody out here getting their placements. Y'all gonna see. You gonna get yours, B. You gonna get. Shut up. Bellyhead ass. Shut up. Shut up. You about to ruin your blessings. Eli Brown even expresses that he believes that there's a spiritual energy around that. It's like, you ever had like one of your homies big up you? Like, say you gonna go play somebody one-on-one on the basketball court and they big up you like, my boy's crazy. Oh, no. Let's say it's NBA 2K. You playing NBA 2K and you like, man, my boy's the greatest I ever seen. He's the greatest I ever seen. He finna run this shit up. Watch. I show him, patting you on the back all hard. You shaking. They all in your head. And then your ass get beat. You get blown out. And at the end of the game, everybody's sitting there quiet. That's the worst feeling. The worst feeling in the world is to eat your foot. Eat crow, as they say. It's the worst feeling in the world. And there's a lot of producers out here who be killing their blessings because they can't wait to flex on whoever said that they wasn't gonna be nothing. It ain't worth it. Especially when in your mind you say, I'm supposed to do this. I am a professional. I plan to be here for a long time. I am not surprised by this. I'm grateful for it, but I'm not surprised by it because I am a professional, or I'm working to be, and I'm supposed to be here. This is Bugs Ronan. A placement's never out until it's out.
And I remember he said on his story, like, it was like a Thursday or like maybe it was more like a Tuesday, Wednesday. And he said, like, Eternal will take 2 weeks. And then it just comes out like that Thursday or whatever. Did you know at that time was paperwork done and everything? So,
yeah.
Look, you know what's funny about all of these responses? The producer's answer was silence. They still feel like they got to be silent about a project that already came out. That's how programmed it is. And to the folks who be in these circles, I knew better. Hey, bro. Hey, you know when Absol's dropping? Hey, bro, when's the last time you? He answered the question with silence, and then he goes into it.
I've gotten paperwork before that though, and it still didn't drop. So like,
that's a good point.
It was like, all right, here we go again. Like, here's another one, you know. And I didn't believe it till like the day before or the track list came out, and I was like, all right, this shit about to drop.
That's a good point though. Like, it's never out until it's out. Like, a lot of people like to say it's not official until there's paperwork, but that's not true. Like, it's actually never out until it's out.
Yeah, nah, he's just like me though, like impulsive as hell. So he could drop tomorrow if he wanted to, and you know that's still.
And then I remember.
Here's the reality of it. This doesn't just apply to placements in the traditional sense with artists. This also applies to sync opportunities, especially to sync opportunities. I had one recently with a huge athletic shoe company. And there was a lot of work that was required of me to conclude this project successfully. I did the work. There might have been about 15 drafts of work that I have never done a day in my 20 years of production. But I did it, one, because I knew that check was going to be nice, and two, because it meant something to me to do a quality job. All while staying as tight-lipped as possible. I might have told my wife, because we're in the same house, and she's going to keep hearing this commercial clip running back and forth and ask, what the hell is that? Outside of that, didn't tell nobody. And I'm glad I didn't, because after all that work, which they said that they genuinely liked, they really enjoyed it, they chose to only show that commercial when people visit their headquarters in-house. It was initially I thought it was going to be for TV. That's what they said it was going to be, but plans change. And you have to, especially as a producer, protect your reputation. And when your work can't be the thing that's talking for you, people pay more attention to what you're actually saying on your own behalf. And if you're somebody who just looks like you got a lot of thirsty energy on you, people will starve you of opportunity. They won't invite you to studio sessions. Matter of fact, there have been studio sessions where there have been producers who are 10 times more talented than me, more accomplished than me, who don't get the amount of invites I get, re-invites back, because they're just chatty patties. They can't stop running their damn lips, not just about the business that they're trying to currently get placed for, but other people's business. You see, there are people who are perceptive enough to recognize that the way that you talk about people that are not in the room will one day be the way that you talk about the people that are currently in the room. So, if this is you and you're wondering why you're not getting you're wondering why you're not getting invites back in the room, you wonder why it seems like people tell you one thing, maybe it's not that everybody hates producers. Maybe you just fit the category of producers that are easy to hate. You know, the ones that fuck up rollouts because their ego is talking so loudly and needs the world to know about what they got coming. I think that's also the dope thing about what the majority of all these producers said. When you continue to work, you concern yourself less about the last thing you did and whether or not it's going to be successful. When you engulf yourself in the work, you don't put that much concern about, hey, did we get that future placement? Oh man, can you hit him up again? Talking to your manager. Can you hit him up again, please? Maybe I just send maybe I should send a stems in MP3 because it's easier to download. Head ass. If you occupy yourself with work, like that was me a little bit when I was waiting on my payment for my first sync opportunity. You know why? Because I was so concerned with that money dropping that I wasn't concerned with myself about how the next money was going to come in. Occupy your mind with the next move being your best move. And I feel like the world does something very interesting in that when you're detached from the things that you're obsessed over, you're detached from the things that you're like, I need this to come, I need this to happen. They have a weird way of actually happening when you put your focus elsewhere. Those are my final thoughts. What do you think?
DIY.
Producers can't shut up, man. Producers can't shut up. They can't shut up. Shut up. Shut up. You talking yourself out of an opportunity you ain't even got. Don't say nothing till they cut the check. Don't say nothing till they cut the check. Don't say nothing till they cut the check. You don't got nothing until people see it. You don't got nothing. I just try to leave myself to as much surprise as possible. Got to have a plan B for every scenario, or have so many plans that everything's a plan A. You have so many plans that everything is a plan A. Okay, I didn't get this placement here. That's fine because I already have 14 more studio sessions I need to walk into. And when I start to find myself getting towards the end of those, I need to line up some more because you know what? You know what that's like? That's like if you're a basketball player and you're putting all of your energy into only the first regular season game of the season. And you're like, man, I'm going to work out crazy, try to get ready for that. I can't wait to show everybody I'm a basketball player. Then you play the first game and you recognize there's 81 more games in the regular season. Why? Because you're a professional basketball player and you're hired. You're in the room because you play ball. The same thing applies to producers. You're in the room because you produce. Keep producing. But I feel like a lot of producers like produce and they do the Mr. Smithers shit. Maybe if I go and like their Instagram post, they'll remember me and bring me back into the studio. No, you weird. What's up, Courtney? That's weird. Don't be like that, bro. And a lot of folks be doing that. Occupy yourself with work and none of this is going to matter as much as it once did. Appreciate you. Keep it real. What are y'all thoughts on that, though? Could y'all, do y'all find it challenging? You find it challenging? I hate when people, Albert Williams said, I hate when people talk just to talk. I promise it won't get awkward if you just shut the F up for 2 seconds. It won't be awkward. The only time silence is awkward is on the radio. That's why they call it radio silence. Thank you, Courtney. All is well, sis. I hope you're doing all right. I remember being in a studio session with Gerald Levert's brother Sean. I didn't say a word the whole time. Fam, and people can look at that like you're being passive or like you're scared, but it's like, no. You're reading the room. You're allowing the people in the room who feel the most comfortable to maneuver how they do. And you should be, if anything, studying. How are people using their hands in this room? I know that sounds weird, but how are they using their hands? Are they not using their hands? Because if you can somehow mirror that body language, people will feel like they have so much more in common with you no matter what's coming out your mouth. If you're somebody that's like, man, I need a beat that's larger than life, man, like something like with some hard-ass snares, and you walk up on them like, or like some 808 snares. Yeah. I like this guy. You know why they like that guy? Because you're like them. Dumb humans, bro. We're so stupid. Bro. You could literally copy somebody's body language and they'll think that y'all are best friends. Why? Because they like themselves that much. So when you in there and you being quiet, study. Look at the room. Look at how people maneuver. See how certain type of people react. Sometimes somebody can save you from getting cussed out because they do some shit that you would have did, but they did it first. And then they get cussed out and you're like, I'm glad I didn't do that. I would just treat them like a regular person. Would you treat them like a regular person if they didn't see themselves as the regular person? That's my question. Would you treat them like a regular person if they don't see themselves as a regular person? Let's say that they're extremely narcissistic. Let's say that there's somebody that they feel like they are the greatest thing since sliced bread. Would you treat them like a normal person? Or do you think that possibly could put you in a place where, I understand the ideology. You want to treat everybody with the respect that they deserve, right? But in a situation where somebody feels like, now we get into some 48 Law shit. Somebody who feels like they're the master of the room. And you go in there and you like sitting in a chair and you're like, bro, there's more chairs in here. That's treating them like a regular person. Like, bro, I've sat here first. Respectfully, I sat here first. I know what you're saying, but I'm saying like, because 92% of our conversation, 92% of our communication is body language, I think that gets a little bit dicey. It gets a little dicey, as the homie Ben Tenho said. Yeah, I would, but if they don't see themselves as a normal person, then that would let me know I'm in the wrong environment. Bingo. But the higher you go up, the more that you're going to see that happen. And then when you get to the highest level, you won't. see people act like that because they know who they are and they know their value. Many of them do, I should say. It's always them people in the middle, bro, especially in the music industry. It's the people in the middle, bro. It's the people in the middle, bro. They're the most problematic people, bro. Everybody want to act like they at the top, but they in the middle. Bro, you peanut butter and jelly. You ain't even the bread, bro. What the fuck you doing? What are you doing? The middle and the bottom. Let's just say they all in the middle. They all in the middle. It's the middle telling the bottom how dumb they are. That's crazy. Oh, middle ground ass. All right, let's get into this next story. Appreciate everybody in here. Make sure you hit that like button. I greatly appreciate y'all being in here. We got some good stuff to get into. All right, let's get into. Ooh, we got something from the homie Currency. I mean, not the homie, but I like to think that that's the homie.
DIY.
So I posted a short where Currency, New Orleans-based artist, legendary independent artist, talked about how his mother helped to finance his pivot in his career after he left Cash Money. It did supremely well. And I was like, okay, so y'all want to hear more Currency stories. Easy peasy, I got you. This one came across my timeline on Instagram, and I was like, I got to share this with my folks. I don't follow this account, but it's called The Mechanics, and they share this clip of Currency giving advice to what I believe is a younger artist, or at least is just a younger head. And he's telling this individual the value of keeping your creative ideas to yourself. Because he has a theory about the world and the amount of creatives that actually exist within it. Check this out.
Keep your ideas internal. Don't share a lot of your plans with people because there are less creatives in the world than we are. You know what I'm saying? So what they do is they thrive off our ideas because we so freely pop up with new stuff all the time. There's nothing for you to talk about your plans in front of somebody because you just keep on making new ones and bigger ones and bigger ones. People that can't create, they're just sitting around waiting for you to say something so they can take that shit and put the spin on it and do it their own way. So me, I'm quiet until it's already too big for you to ignore. If I don't say anything about what I'm building until I'm finished, I won't have to say anything because you will see it in the middle of the street. So the same way I do with a lowrider, I never tell you, oh, I'm working on this, I'm working on a 55, because everybody talk about what they're doing. I won't have to talk about it. You see me at the red light. That's why I keep your ideas internal.
So the advice that he starts off with is keep your ideas, your creative ideas, internal. He continues on to talk about you don't know who you're in the room with, and his theory that
don't share a lot of your plans with people because there are less creatives in the world.
Have you ever thought about this concept? Because I know for sure I haven't given this a lot of thought, but I think it's a really brilliant statement. And some people may agree, some people may not agree. But Currency says that he believes that there are less creative people on the earth than there are people who are actually creative. Have you ever given that thought? Because it seems like we come in contact, especially us as independent artists and musicians, producers, we come in contact with people who are creative. We're literally right now in a live stream full of so many different creative people. But if this theory holds true, not only is that a reflection of the world, right? The 8 billion odd people that are on earth not being majority creative individuals, that also applies to our peers. A huge lesson I had to learn over the last 3 years as I've maneuvered in this content space and I've met different producers from different walks of life. Some of them leaned dramatically into content creation more than they leaned into music production. I, in my naivete, thought that everybody valued the music so much more than their actual content or their tutorials or whatever the case may be. I was severely mistaken. When I heard this quote from Currency about how there's more people who are not creative than actually are creatives, like true creatives. Let's identify that. People who are able to take nothing and do something original with that nothing, creative, who thrive off of their own original ideas, or who know how to alter multiple sources, right? I saw a quote one time that said that if you take from one source, that's plagiarism, right? That's you're literally just jacking exactly what you got your information from. But if you take from multiple sources, well, that's called research. Isn't that what we all are as creatives, as musicians, as artists? Aren't we a collection, producers, of all the different producers that have had an influence on us? All the different music that we've poured into our own personal algorithm, and we're spitting out these decisions one by one shots, by presets, by instruments, and saying, this represents me as a Curtis King or as a producer. Isn't that what we are? With that said, though, if you know that the majority of the world, if we're going to run with that assumption that the majority of the world is full of people who are not true creatives, and that includes your peers, what then, Currency, must you do with your creative ideas?
Than we are. You know what I'm saying? So what they do is they thrive off our ideas. Because we so freely pop up with new stuff all the time, there's nothing for you to talk about your plans in front of somebody, because you just keep on making new ones and bigger ones and bigger ones.
This relates back to the story we did about Scar Lip, in that the reason why artists like her get put in situations potentially where a label or someone that is an entity that has a lot of money are able to have that artist compromise the control that they have over their art, or they're able to finesse masters, is because they have the thing that creatives, or most, is that a true statement? That a lot of creatives, let's say that a lot of creatives value the most. When you have a lot of creativity, it's a high likelihood you don't have a whole lot of money, at least within our particular industry. There are people that know that and become predatory upon understanding all you need is money. Cool. I'll give you a fraction of this money that I have that did not require creativity for me to produce, that did not require creativity for me to gain, and I'll exchange it for that thing that you don't understand how valuable it is. But if I put the money behind it, and if you relinquish your rights to it, we can get some motion. And if all you want is $100,000, shit, I can do that easy. And so Currency is instructing the young dude that you got to be careful who you're sharing your creative ideas with, because that's how us as creatives, that's how we maneuver. Where who you are is not what you do, it's how you do it. If you believe that statement, then that means that as creatives, we're creative in everything that we do. You tell us to go cut the grass, you tell us to go vacuum the room, we gonna put some creative ass diamonds or something in what we're doing. Like, we're gonna find a creative way to do it. We gotta listen to music. Creativity has to be involved within the tedious process. That's just who we are. It's how we do it. We're creative. When you're talking to somebody who does not operate by that and they fiend for that, like, it's hard for me to process that, but I have met people who are in a creative field and don't have a creative bone to save their life. And they listen very intently to the shit that you say, because they know that you are diarrhea of the mouth when you're creative. You are bubbling with such creative ideas, you just gotta share it with somebody. And they're a willing participant. They're all ears. So Currency is like, yo, be careful. Be careful. Reserve that energy. No one is time to just shh. Because there's people out here who are willing to take advantage of that, and not even willing, they will take advantage of that.
They can't create, They're just sitting around waiting for you to say something so they can take that shit and put the spin on it and do it their own way.
They can't create, so they waiting for you to do something so that they can take it and put their own spin on it. Ever happen to you? Definitely's happened to me.
So me, I'm quiet until it's already too big for you to ignore. If I don't say anything about what I'm building until I'm finished, I won't have to say anything because you will see it in the middle of the street.
I love it. Currency, look. All that damn weed smoke that Currency be smoking, bro, he sure be full of that damn wisdom. I love Currency, man. Much love to Currency. An independent legend. A true story of resilience and wisdom. So that last part that Currency ended on, I think is probably the most crucial part, is it is very important for you creatives, which I know so many of y'all out there, we're so much alike. You and I are so much alike. We have to protect our creativity. We have to protect our creative ideas because there are people with the resources to not only copy them, but blast them out into the world so large because of their budgets, they can make the world believe that they were the ones that actually came up with the ideas. And although I would never want any creative to walk around here with a scarcity mindset that you have to like protect anybody and everything from seeing what you got going on, I would want you to be aware of it because I know what it's like to have diarrhea of the mouth when you start to letting that free flow of ideas come out of your brain and you want to share it with the world. You want to get that validation. You want to see somebody get excited about it. You just want to share it with somebody. Get a journal. Get a journal and start building on it. There has not been a better satisfaction for me in the last 2 years as I've been going through the roller coasters of just doing entrepreneurship and doing business here in this YouTube space. There's not been a greater satisfaction than my Decembers where I sit back and I write out what I want to do and I plan as if I am going to war with somebody and nobody even knows what I'm getting ready to plan. There's not a greater feeling in the world for me when it comes to business than planning, practicing, executing in silence, getting better in real time, putting the time in, and then allowing the world to see the work that I put in. And that is what Currency is alluding to when he says, instead of telling you what I'm getting ready to do, I'd rather you see me at the red light. Now, Currency is heavy into car culture, so that may be him investing time into his car and doing things that have a better response than telling people what you're going to do, because he's showing them what he's doing. And I suggest the same thing for everyone out there, DIYers. I suggest the same thing for you, is that if you are going to do great things, don't wait around for that validation. Just do great things. We are the sum of our habits. Invest those daily. Don't be worried about the reaction, because most times, if it's bad news, most people are just glad it happened to you and not them. Even when they say, I feel for you. Some people may be empathetic, but most people are glad it happened to you and not to them. And then when you share good news, there's way too many ways to interpret that. Some could be proud of you. Some could be preying upon you. So no matter what, I would suggest, and this is what's kept me in a very peaceful place through building in silence, is recognizing that when it's time to actually bring it to the public, there will be nothing that anybody can deny. Understanding that I have so much confidence in the work that I'm doing and that I'm getting ready to do, that the validation no longer holds as much value as it once did. Knowing that I am a professional and this is expected of me, and I'm going to be great, and there are people out here who are literally waiting for you to slip up and say the wrong combination of words so they can take that shit to the next level with their budget. That's enough for me to say, when somebody says, what you got going? Oh, I'm just working, bro. I'm just working. Those are my thoughts, though. Ladies and gentlemen, share with me your thoughts.
DIY.
I wish I'd have took that advice earlier, though, because I for sure was diarrhea of the ideas, of the mouth. Bro, you know how many times I didn't seen somebody. You know how many times somebody didn't came to me for advice and I tell them to do something? And I'm like, bro, my brain, my creativity is saying, look, this is the move. And they ignore that. And then they wait till they see something that I'm doing that they really, really like. And they like, well, since I didn't take that advice before, I'm going to just take this thing that you're doing right now. Is that cool? They don't even ask. They just take it. I think you have a greater appreciation. Courtney says silence is powerful. It sure in the hell is. I think you have a greater appreciation, too, for the work you're doing because you recognize it ain't for nobody else. It ain't for nobody else. Who was it really for? You know how many times some shit happened? I finally got it right and I wanted to get in my Insta story and I was like, why? Why, Curtis? They don't care. Oh, yeah, huh? Okay. Put the phone back down. I might record it for myself or write it down in a journal. They don't care. They don't care unless they can benefit off of it. I just fall back. Culture, our culture is a synthesis of creative ideas. Yes. Billy Carson explains the situation well. I got to watch that. Link me to that video. So it's likely there will be less creatives or a certain set of people. People want you to do good. They just don't want you to do them better than them. That's unfortunate. It is unfortunate, but it's very human. When you tell somebody what you plan on doing, you also let the devil know. My grandma used to say that. She said, you better be careful. Devil listening too. I'm like, hey, yo, what you know, Grandma? I swear it happens more than people realize too. It's so ridiculous now. I'm no longer surprised when it reaches up. Like there have been things that I have done more than I can name. And then I see them reflected back to me. I'll give you one example. I started doing these voiceovers on Instagram where I gave motivational words, and I'm not the first person to do it. But in the style that I did it, and in the way that I worded these things, it was very intentional and very unique and customized. And I literally saw people steal that whole formula and then go and copy my entire bio style and get millions and millions of more views than me. And then I had to, at some point, resolve within myself, chill, Curtis, that's your ego talking. And secondly, it was never for them, regardless of what they could do with that idea. You shared it for the people. It got to the right people. You did numbers as well. Now we're on to the next thing. Because I'm just a creative. That's just who I am. But some people will take your idea and make it their entire career. And that's something that's not an easy pill to swallow, I'll be honest with you. If you tell people too early, they start feeling like the founders and shit. Ain't that facts? Ain't that some facts? Oh, man, ain't that some damn facts? Ain't that some damn facts? We got more stories to get into, but ain't that some facts? What's good? You know damn well you got that from me. Why are we playing? Why are we doing that? Why are we doing that? Even if you slip up, it's coming up. There's a and then when people notice you have the drive to act out on your ideas, then they begin to pitch their ideas to you so you can do all the work. Yep, I've had that happen. I've had that happen as well. That's the worst. That is the worst. You could tell when somebody's pitching you an idea because they're like, I just want to see how you do it so I can take it and do it like that. Bill Gates said something about that too. He was like, if you want to get something done, find the laziest person you know first. And you'll get it done quicker. I was like, come on, yo. What? All right, next story.
DIY.
Okay, so in this age where we are bombarded with content on a regular basis, and so many brilliant ideas in the moment are shared and are forgotten about, or many of us internalize when we first hear it, and we either pivot at some point in time away from that idea, or we just kind of like think of it as law. There's a clip from Russ that I think represents the way that a lot of artists and a lot of producers release music. And you've probably seen the clip, or at least have heard of the Russ model of releasing music. With that said, though, a few weeks ago, VS Gent did sort of a throwback post on this popular, no, it wasn't 2 weeks ago. That was the last comment. 13 weeks ago. Shoot, this is the throwback. But it's a throwback clip of a throwback clip that Russ, independent juggernaut, somebody who gives out so much game, someone who is supremely successful in their own right, makes amazing music, produces their own music and all that stuff. He talks about the campaign that he initially went on that helped him rise to notoriety, that helped to get his name out there. But what I want to talk about is beyond just the releasing a song once a week concept. What I want to get into is what he says about albums and whether that still applies to today. So let's talk about it, or let him talk about it, actually.
Dropping albums, you have no fans and no connections. No one gives a No one's trying to listen to an album from someone they don't know and from someone that no one else told them to listen to. And I was like, before I put out another album on deaf ears, I was looking at SoundCloud. I noticed that the first song on the album had the most plays, and then it would go down from there. Everyone's down to listen to the first song. It's that second song that gets tricky. And so I was like, I'm just going to put out one song every week because y'all are clearly down to listen to one song. I did two things. I made an album, and I had 26 songs ready to go that were not on the album. The end goal was always to still put out another album. I just needed to get the visibility of. How am I going to increase my visibility? I got to get people tuned in. Let me put out singles that will single-handedly get their attention, and then I'll give them the album. I was putting out song a week, and it ended up paying off because, as we figured out, people can listen to one song. It's tough to get them to listen to an album, and being consistent with great music, the music blew up. I was prepared for that, which is why in the moment of momentum, I gave my debut album.
All right, so he's pointing out that this model that you see now, that in many ways have been done before in terms of just releasing songs on a regular basis. I've seen J-Rock at one point in time do like a year campaign, years and years before we even heard of Russ. I've seen other artists go on their own campaigns where they do this for high visibility. They have different goals. So that in itself, as much as he branded it, as much as it became sort of the Russ model of doing things, which I really wonder how much a Gary Vee or a conversation with Gary Vee had to do with any of that. I don't know if he was already connected with it. I don't know. But that model in itself really helped to build up a fan base and a following for Russ, who had that as his primary goal. So instead of trying to bombard an audience as an up-and-coming artist with a full project, Russ said, okay, well, based upon the metrics, based upon the song plays, you guys are willing to listen to one song. You're willing to listen to the first two or three, but after that, it falls off dramatically. You see that happen sometimes even with major artists like Drake, where he'll release his full project. For instance, like what project was that? Was that What project was that? I think it was Scorpio, where he released the project and so many of the songs hit up on the charts, and they hit up on the charts almost in order or out of order, and they just kind of popped all the way around. People make their choices, they latch onto it for whatever reason or how they got a hold of it, but that's that model. However, I feel a little bit different about what he says about albums, and I want to explain why after we go back through the clip again.
Albums, you have no fans and no connections. No one gives a No one's trying to listen to an album from someone they don't know and from someone that no one else told them to listen to. And I was like,
I respect what he's saying, because I think that it is true of most artists that if you're trying to get somebody to give a damn about who you are and what you do, asking them to invest a whole hour, say your project is an hour-long project, 45 minutes even, 30 minutes even. That's asking for a hell of a commitment for somebody who has no skin in the game when it comes to your career. Somebody who doesn't have to care. It's a lot easier to get 1 minute of a 3-minute song than it is for somebody to get through 50% of an hour-long or 30-minute project. Like, there's no denying that. However, I do think that if he's expressing that the goal was to release a song every single week in order to lead people into the release of his album, to gain so much momentum that people are excited and can't wait for an album, there's still another skill set that needs to be built. And to me, that's the art of creating an album. Now, how important that is to you nowadays, I'm not here to debate that. I think that there are people who still want to sit with the body of work because it represents almost like how a photo album represents a time in somebody's life. It represents a time in the life of their favorite artist if they're a fan of you, right? So there's value in still creating albums. But I think that the only way to really nail creating an album is to, if you do this single campaign, and he kind of gives more details, if you do this single campaign, make sure that you're still taking your shots at creating an album, because you need to learn the art form of creating an album. That doesn't just happen because you learn the art of releasing music on a consistent basis. Putting together an album that keeps the retention high, that tells a story, that goes on a roller coaster of a journey, that's a skill set you're only going to learn through practice.
Like, before I put out another album on Deaf Ears, I was looking at SoundCloud. I noticed that the first song on the album had the most plays, and then it would go down from there. Everyone's down to listen to the first song. It's that second song that gets tricky. And so I was like, I'm just going to put out one song every week, because y'all are clearly down to listen to one song. I did two things. I made an album, and I had 26 songs ready.
So there's the details. There's the details he's sharing, where he's basically saying that he was working on an album in the process. And I hope that that's something that doesn't get lost in the shuffle. Because I see a lot of artists who record a shit ton of songs, and they have like 52 songs, and they say, I got enough songs for a year. And they don't take into account that if you're actively campaigning to get people to become a fan of you, you have to be ready, just like any campaign, like a presidential campaign. You got to be ready to pivot when new opportunities present themselves. So if you're on a 52-week campaign and you're putting out songs every single week, there's an opportunity where somebody that you may not even thought that you were going to have access to as a feature says, hey, I want to do a remix of that song. Everybody keeps putting it on my radar. I need to do a remix of that song. Now that changes plans for at least one of the weeks because you've already had it planned, this one track mind that I'm releasing this music. But I do like the fact that he does subtly kind of mention the necessity of still building upon your chops on in terms of doing an album. Just because most people won't care about if you release an album, I don't think that's enough reason not to release an album. I truly don't. I feel like if you want to understand if this is truly for you, you probably, how about this? Compare it to sports again. How will you know that football is a sport for you until you played a full game? If you only jump in on the first quarter, on the first play of the game, that might be enough excitement to make you think you could have a 20-year career in the NFL. Damn, that shit is fast-paced. It's exciting. You still got a whole lot of energy. You have not exerted the amount of energy necessary to understand what a real NFL career is. And I think it's the same thing with just releasing the songs. You got to be making albums. And you got to have that silence on the albums. I think if I were to alter this plan for myself in 2023, because this was some time ago, if I was to alter this plan, it wouldn't so much be about releasing a song a week. I would release a song a week, but that's not the focus. The focus is, how do I campaign for each individual song? What content do I have lined up for this individual song? Is it behind the scenes footage of how I made the beat and made the song? Is it lifestyle clips where I'm in some super 4K vertical video walking across the water and the music just kind of accentuates the background of it and makes people ask, what is that sound? Is it me using a micro clip of somebody that motivates me and putting my music in the background of it? Is it me creating some really trippy visualizer that makes people enticed to want to hear more about it? Is it me taking a viral clip and figuring out a way to incorporate it with my music? I don't know what it is, but that to me seems like in this age of content, that is much more worth your time than thinking about the event around every single week. What is the content for it?
To go that were not on the album. The end goal was always to still put out another album. I just needed to get the visibility of it. How am I going to increase my visibility? I got to get people tuned in. Let me put out singles that will single-handedly get their attention, and then I'll give them the album.
The beauty of doing content, and this is where I think that this clip didn't have the opportunity to see content in the way that we see it today. I don't know, like I said, once again, when it was actually released. I assume it was some time ago, because this is 13 weeks ago, plus the throwback of the clip. But this is, to me, the value of content and why you have to be involved in social media as an artist, as a producer. If you can find a way, or find a presentation that resonates with you, that is a presentation you got to start thinking about. How do I make that make sense for me? We're too creative not to. We're too creative to only put all of our creativity into the music. There's a lot of people right now who are like, cool, I can make songs in my sleep. Let's do that every week. But the same way that you talk about the album falling upon deaf ears, well, this one's probably even worse. Because think about all the amount of work that was exerted to creating artwork for all of these songs. Think about all the energy that you put behind it to bring together features that you may have on the songs. Think about just all of the footwork to promote these songs. Without a proper plan, those too will fall on deaf ears. You know how many artists or producers that promote their shit all the time for a year and a half, and I followed them, but I also muted them a year ago because it's the same shit over and over and over again. I joke about it, but their damn profiles look like a brochure for SoundCloud. It looked like an OnlyFans page for SoundCloud. All you got is waveforms. You got just waveforms, naked ass waveforms all over your profile. It looks like you work for SoundCloud. Or it looks like you work for Apple. You know, the damn audio clip preview thing. It look like you work for Apple. Like you Steve Jobs' son or daughter. When you get into that one move mindset, because this is something that worked for him, I think it's not taking into consideration all the nuance and all of the luck that was involved in this working for him.
Putting out song a week. And it ended up paying off because, as we figured out, people can listen to one song. It's tough to get them to listen to an album, and being consistent with great music, the music blew up. I was prepared for that, which is why in the moment of momentum, I gave my debut album.
So I want to end on this note. I think in 2023, we have to rid ourselves of the idea that once an album drops, the music is old. I think that's an old concept. Because we got to ask the question, who was it owed to? Who was it owed to? Our fans? You mean the same fans that want to see us do well as independents? You mean the same fans that will say things like, man, I wish more people knew about you. You're my favorite artist. You're my favorite producer. You think they're going to grow tired of you campaigning for yourself? Or do you think that they would see a reason to campaign along with you? We got to get rid of this idea that when an album drops that it's old. I'm working on it my damn self because I have had that embedded into me for so long. I don't know where it came from. I think it came from the old traditional way of rolling out albums by the major labels and how much I've seen that and how the campaign will come and go so quickly. But that project that got 150 streams, even 150,000. Dog, there's 8 billion people on this earth. And you're not going to get all of them. You might even get a 1% of them. But there's a lot of people and a lot of opportunities that you have yet to come in contact with. And all you have to do is see something for the first time and it resonate with you and you make a decision. Think about your favorite people that you subscribe to. How many times did you watch their videos before you hit that subscribe button? Once again, though, how many videos did they have to create for you to even see or not see before you hit subscribe? I believe the same thing happens in music, and the same thing applies to us. A video from 3 years ago, I guarantee if I get on my timeline right now, my news feed on YouTube, I'm going to see a video from at least 4 years ago. Because there's evergreen value to it. And the same thing applies to music. Now, there's some arguments for how certain sounds can date themselves. Absolutely. But I do feel like when you are presenting music that is in line with your brand, it's all an extension of the experience that it could possibly be for somebody who chooses to press play on you. So, if I were to show somebody who Russ is, I would probably end up showing them an old song. Or I would probably go from a project in which I could show them what that experience is like. So I don't think that he's wrong. I think that that advice has stood the test of time. But I think there are bigger developments in content and in where people's focus are at, where just the brute work of putting the music out is not enough. And also this idea that nobody will ever listen to the album. Well, the same thing can happen to the first 25 songs that you release every single week. Right? The mode does the way that you roll out the music doesn't universally change the reason why people listen to your music. Right? It could be a matter of the presentation. It could be a matter of how many times you push that one song versus pushing those 20 songs. So, if you want to make your albums, make your albums. And if you want to push songs individually from that album, so you got 14 tracks for the next 14 weeks, do it. But I do think there's a value to still creating albums. Because if you learn the art form, if you learn how to curate, if you learn how to playlist, if you learn how to tell stories, how to strike up emotions through sounds, that is a skill set that you can carry to every song. So then it's less you making a song. It's you creating a song with the same energy that you've learned, the same knowledge you've learned when creating an album. That's how you make every single song feel like an experience, in my opinion. But those are my thoughts. You let me know what you think.
DIY.
What's your thoughts on it? I for one still love albums. I for one love albums. I'm not even gonna hold you. I love them. It took me one video that Curtis King was a part of for me to find you and follow you when you battled DiBiase at Rebel. Oh, you've been here for a second then. That's crazy. That's crazy. Look, I have people that I get so much information from. Appreciate you, JS the Great. I get people that I get so much information here on this YouTube sphere. And I just like kind of walk away from them and I'm like, thank you. Here's a like. I won't even leave a comment. I'll do that for a year before I actually hit the subscribe button. Like, I want to see you more. I think Don Toliver put out one of the best theme-based albums that I heard in a while, but I don't think it did too well commercially. But you know what's crazy about the time we live in? And I feel like, you know what I feel like really exposed this idea I'm getting ready to share with you? Remember the Running Man Challenge? I know, I think, oh, you. Remember that era of music? They took a song that was popular in the 90s and made it so viral that it pushed its way back up the charts when that challenge happened. It had Kyrie Irving, everybody. It had everybody doing that. They pushed a song that had been pushed out of the charts completely and made it relevant all over again. Had they streams going stupid. So even for this Don Toliver album that you're talking about that didn't commercially do well, all it takes is some goofy ass 14-year-old to do the Minecraft challenge, or to like put a dog's face on a cat's butt and then like call it the dog face butt cat challenge, and all of a sudden that song now has a new life. Or somebody does a goofy ass dance and all of a sudden that whole thing, that is happening so often now because people are finding different and fresher ways to use music in a very unorthodox way. The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge is another one of those, yes. Like what? Vine died so TikTok can annoy. Yeah, Vine is TikTok's evil twin. I wonder why Waka, you saw that? Waka Flocka said he's only 80% right. You know when I think somebody feels that way, and I think I can speak for a little bit about what he's saying. You know why I feel that way? Let's go back to that real quick. You know why I think Waka Flocka says it's 25% accurate? Because I think Waka Flocka is part of the generation that still loves albums. But once again, 8 billion people, fam. There's enough people willing to still buy physical CDs for you to put some money in your pockets. There's enough people who want to buy vinyl for whatever crazy ass reason they want to do that. They want to do that more than they want to stream your music. So what do you do about them? Do you just ignore them because, well, the rest of the world doesn't want to do that? You just ignore them and they're at your shows? Nah, I don't think so. But yeah, I imagine Waka Flocka feels that way, if I'm guessing, because he want to still make his albums. Is CD better or vinyl in quality? Is that a subjective question? I'm sure there's technology behind it. I assume that CD is better quality because it has 320 kps, but then there's some people who find more value in the warmth of the vinyl. I imagine it was the evolution in quality. I particularly love the way vinyl sounds. I love the way vinyl sounds. Like vinyl versus CD, you know what that's like for me? That's like the difference between this finna be fat as hell. I'm trying to think of a hungry ass analogy. That's like store brand biscuits versus Mrs. Buttersworth. Oh. You feel me? That's like I don't know, man. It's like it's buttery. It's different. It's like, yeah, them biscuits get. It's like, you know what it's like? It's like store-bought popcorn versus movie popcorn. Who cares? It's just popcorn, right? It's just popcorn. But I feel like vinyl is like that movie popcorn. It's just, I don't know, the texture, the extra ass butter. You feel me? Like the bag, I don't know what that adds to it. It's a difference between eating a homemade burrito and a burrito that you get from a mom and pop shop that got foil around it. I don't know psychologically what that does to me, but it's different. There it goes. Here's another one. Ramon said store brand versus Red Lobster biscuits. Look, I bought the Red Lobster biscuits and I made it with vegan cheese, and it was halfway decent. It was lightweight decent, but hell no, never again. All it do is make me want to go to the store, and that's when all it do is make me want to go to Red Lobster. I was like, oh, that was genius. They make it just good enough to where you want to go to Red Lobster. That's genius. That's a genius plan. CD has a shorter shelf life. Bad tech. Glad we moved past that real quick. If something is mastered properly for vinyl, it can sound great, especially on a really nice system. I've never heard vinyl in my life. I don't have a way to hear it, so I'll take your word. Yet, don't listen to them. Like, if you go, like, don't. If you want the vinyl experience, don't go get one of these. Like from Target or something. Like get yourself get yourself the full system. If you can get an OG one, get that. Get it where the wiring and everything is the way it is. Because you're gonna be like, what's the purpose of that? I don't hear the difference. Like, get yourself like the real deal. Get yourself the real deal where you gotta actually pay attention to your needle. It'll make a difference. Or go to somebody's house, like you got like a grandfather or somebody, like go to their house and listen to like they like the one they take pride in. I'm telling you, man, like it's different. He said, "Oh no, baby, them joints noisy as hell." It is. And I look, my mama got me that. My sister got me that for my birthday. And I was so grateful. And then I remembered, I was like, damn, I gotta get up every time one side is over with. Damn lazy. You damn lazy Curtis King head ass. I was like, I gotta get up. It was like purple rain, purple rain. And I just tried to convince myself that the white noise was relaxing because I didn't want to get up and change it and flip it over. And I was like, I'm just going to go back to streaming. At least I can hit shuffle. The old school Sony record player. Yes. I'll never forget them Kenwood subwoofer demos they had back in the day when you enter Best Buy. Scratching on vinyls versus your CD scratching itself in the car. That part. Better yet, old school Panasonic record player. Sheesh. All right, let's get into some more stories. I got some more stuff for you. If you haven't yet, hit that like button. Ben Tan said, we old enough to remember the room in the house with the Sony system the kids wasn't allowed in. I remember my pops playing. He didn't even play Stevie Wonder. He played a jazz musician named Najee who did Stevie Wonder covers, and he would play in his sound. He was so proud of that sound system. It was like that wood grain with the black mesh on the front of it. And it, like, I remember looking at the back of it and I was like, at that time, my only knowledge of wires was like hooking up a PlayStation. And matter of fact, that's the next story we getting into. Cause I looked at the back of that with them damn wires where you had like, where they was like prongs and you had to put them to the left. I was like, yo, what is this? Where's the quarter inch adapter? It was like the plugs was like this. And you had to clip them on. No, I don't want no parts of that. I scratched my mom's Earth, Wind, and Fire trying to scratch. Oh no. A year later, mama got saved and never listened to secular music again. Was that my fault? I was about to say how you still living, but now I get it. You literally changed her. You literally changed her life. She had to change because you about to inspire her to. Whoo, she's about to let you have it. You didn't scratch my Earth, Wind, and Fire, boy. You remember them wires, bro? You have to align them joints. I didn't know nothing about that. I didn't want to touch it. I was too afraid. My pops would have whooped my ass if I went to the back of his stereo system and start taking them prongs off. Them little frog hand wires. I was like, if I ever messed up, I would never know how to put it back together. The instructions were not easy. They were not made for me. So let's do another story real quick. This next one, I know you guys have heard about what MTV Music Generator was like. I always wish that I could go back in time and bring y'all to a studio session when I was making beats in the homie's living room or this bedroom, and he was getting ready to write some raps to my MTV Music Generator. I was like, I could play it nowadays, but it would not do it justice. But your friend Curtis found a clip of some younger dudes from 2005 actually working on music. And it's pretty hilarious. You know what? I got to activate my Epic pen. Where's my Epic pen at? Where's my Epic pen? Is this hooked up? Am I hooked up? Hold on. Let me find out real quick. Hold on. I'm going to have to hook this up real quick. Hold on. We might have to do some circling. Where is joint at? Let me see. Yeah, there we go. So what is this? Is this a USB? Is it this one? No, is it this one? Yes, this one. All right, sweet. We've got connection. All right. This should be interesting. All right, let's see if I can activate this where I'm at. Oh yes, hold on. My pen at? There it goes. Oh yes. All right, let's see if I can do this. Hold on. Ignore that real quick. Let me see if I can activate this joint real quick. Let me see. Let me find out. All right. Y'all gotta let me know if you see this, because last time I did this, nothing came on the screen, and I felt stupid. I was like, what the hell? Hold on. Uh-oh. Is it not activated? If it don't work, it don't work. I ain't gonna force it. All right. And put some music on the background. Ooh, hold on. Tell me you can see that. No, you can't see that. Hold on. Let me switch this back over real quick. Hold on. Oh, damn. I don't think it's working. I see it on my end. You don't see it on your end. Well, I tried. Hold on, let me see if I switch this over real quick. See if it switches over. Hold on. Nah, it's not meant to be. I'll do it later on. No worries. We'll get it next time. All right, let's get into the story. I need you to get out of my way. Close the toolbar. All right, sweet.
DIY.
So many stories you've heard on this live stream on this channel about how I got my start as a music producer on a PlayStation game called MTV Music Generator. Some of you were around, you know what I'm saying? I would say you was outside, but you was inside if you had this game. But MTV Music Generator is probably one of the most legendary DAWs that was not meant to originally be a DAW that you'll ever hear, because it helped launch so many music producer careers, including my own. Before I ever got my hands on a piece of production hardware, before I ever got my hands on a piece of traditional computer-based music software, this PlayStation game was the first game that I ever made music on. And I always regretted not being able to record video the way that I record video now, or document the way that I document now, because I'm like, man, there's so many stories, y'all had to be there to see them. Well, shout out to Jacob the Prodigalism. Shout out to Jacob, Landon Balk, who gets the credit for this. First thing I saw was they're recording straight from the PlayStation 2. So this was a game called MTV Music Generator that you could make music on your PlayStation 2. And this video is from 2005, right at the height of when this game was probably the most popular for aspiring producers. Let's watch this.
You can't save your shit, and you have to finish it all in one fucking go. So this is the final. We're gonna finally mix this down and put it.
I don't know how many of y'all having that feeling of nostalgia just looking at the screen. But like, I wonder if FL Studio ever like got approached in the club while they was dancing and having a good ass time, and somebody like pulled up on them and tapped their shoulder, and they looked around and they was like, MTV Generator? Is that you? Oh, hey, MTV Generator's here. Yeah. I'm here. You think you got something to say to me? No, wait, we're happy to see you here. You stole my whole swag. You stole my whole shit. I look at this and I think of FL Studio. And I'm like, is this the reason why FL Studio was so easy for me to get used to? Did I already have a die at FL Studio? I don't know.
On CD, and hopefully the CD doesn't mix.
Final mix right here.
Don't nothing say 2005 more than that little teeny weeny ass Sony TV and a beat playing out them damn Zenith speakers and a producer doing like this to the keys. Don't nothing smell like 2005 more than that.
We're about to make a new disc and put the song on there.
All right, so they was a whole lot more fancy than I was. Maybe not too much more fancy. So people had questions about how did you get the sound from the PlayStation into like your computer or whatever you were using to kind of like burn onto CDs. Well, I went out to Fry's. Damn, this story's getting older by the minute. I went out to this place called Fry's. I don't know if there's many Fry's where you're at. FRY''S. Computer spot where you can get anything computer related. You know, back in my day when I had one of them big ass dinosaur computers, and I think it was a Dell, and I had to exchange drives in it so that I can, you know, kind of like make modifications. The PlayStation cords were RCA cables. The red, was it red, yellow, and green? No, that wasn't green. Red, yellow, blue, red, yellow, green. Might have been red, yellow, green. Red, yellow, green. Yeah, red, yellow, red, white, green. Red, white, green? I don't know. Whatever it was, I had to find a VGA cord. No, it wasn't VGA. I had to find a drive that I can put those RCA cables into. Matter of fact, I'm gonna look it up because I'm pretty sure the chat telling me right now. Into RCA cable. There you go. Red. Oh, it wasn't. Wow. Check your memory out, Curtis. That's terrible. Here we go. Here we go. Let's move that to the side. There it goes. Red, yellow. Excuse me. Red, white, and yellow. Those are my RCA cables. That's what got the job done. Now, fast forwarding back, the only way that I can get my music off the PlayStation onto my computer was to buy this extra sound card, put it in the back of my PC, then play the beat, and then let it fly out. Now, that was the professional version. You know what I did before that? I waited till nobody was in the house, and I used a microphone that was hooked up to my computer, and I pressed play, aka the X button on the PlayStation. I was like, let it rip. The what? Hey, coming, Mom. That's the way I got sound off of it originally before I learned better. But he got a whole setup. He got a whole situation here that looks pretty interesting.
Oh, shit. See, we can't have anything on the TV or else there's background sound that we don't want.
Somebody broke this down. They said, where was that at? The reason why they got to turn off the TV, because he was saying you got to turn off the TV whenever you're doing playback or whenever you're trying to record stuff into this device. The reason why you got to turn off the TV is because box TVs from the 2000s would produce constant noise around 16 kilohertz. Well, I'll be damned.
We are prepared to record our new instrumental we just finished today, and Lena's gonna show you how.
Hey, you notice how people talk different on videos in like the mid 2000s? That's gonna be a thing when movies start coming out and they start studying that time. He was like, okay, so what we getting ready to do right now? Like, he's reintroducing a scene that we've already invested time into. That is such a mid 2000s, early 2000s thing.
We record instrumentals here at Mystic Minds Entertainment through the PlayStation to the burner. And we mix and make sure there's not too much bass. The burner goes, the mixer, goes straight to the burner. And we synchronize and record.
No, that's some scientific shit right there. He got it running through a mixer, running through a CD burner, and they're burning it in real time, I'm assuming? I don't know how that works.
And that's how we record a track in Mystic Minds. Without vocals. That is.
Without vocals.
He was for sure an Eminem fan at that time.
You can't save your shit and you have to finish it all in one fucking...
Oh, the memories. Oh, the memories. Oh, the memories. Oh, the memories. Oh, my gosh. I'll never forget it. It's almost comical now when I think about... Shout out to my homie Keita, my best friend in the whole world. Shout out to him because he for sure made me feel like I could be something on them damn beats. He was like, man, hey, my bro Curtis, he's a whiz on that PlayStation, bro. He be making beats on the PlayStation, bro. He's out of here. He for sure helped my confidence because I didn't know I was trash. But thankfully we have things that help us revisit that time period. Thankfully, I recorded something from that time. Some of you heard this if you got my book before, but you want to hear one of them beats that I created? Because that beat sounded a whole lot better than mine's did. Shout out to them folks. You want to hear the beat I made? You want to hear this shit? There you go. Get what you asked for.
Ow!
2005 hands. This shit sounds like AI made it. Not Allen Iverson. Artificial intelligence. It feels like it was generated by AI. I think the prompt was, give me something funky from the early 2000s. I promise some memories feel so much better when they're just memories. That got way too deep, didn't it? Some memories I promise they're sitting in my head in 4K until they're actually in 4K and I hear some shit like what I just played you. Oh man, shout out to that game because it for sure is the reason why I even thought there was a future in music. That is all that I had access to make music. I couldn't afford the hardware at that point in time. I could not afford the software at that point in time. But you know what? I asked for that PlayStation and I was like, I think I can do something with a PlayStation. And in an attempt to go get NBA Live 2K1 with Allen Iverson on the cover, 1 or 2, I forget. I happened to go into that used video game section of the electronic boutique and I found this double disc game. I thought it was sitting over here somewhere. No, I just so happened to find that game and I'm glad that I did because that is the reason why I still have a career today. So for all the funs and the shits and the giggles, if it wasn't for that damn game, I do not think that I would have pursued a career in production. So thank you to the creators of MTV Music Generator. Wow. Yeah. What do you guys think? Which one of y'all used that?
DIY.
boom, 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 boom. I had no sense of direction of where melody was supposed to go. Like, how could you listen to music your entire life and come up with that? I can't make sense out of that. I know I was young. I want to give myself grace, but how do you listen to music your entire life and then you sit down and it's finally your turn and you're like, here's what I interpret everything that I've heard so far. I'm still thinking about that lead melody. You know, in some places, they use memorable things as a form of torture. Like they'll play like a Katy Perry song over and over and over again. It don't mean it's good. It don't mean it's good. J.H. the Great, it don't mean it's good. It don't mean it's good at all. At all. It does not mean it's good. Courtney, not you saying it's growing on you. See, that's how you know we've been around each other for too long. Not it's growing on you. That's terrible. That is terrible. It probably pushed you into more developed programs. It did, because you know what? Hip Hop Show. That for sure showed me an introduction of sequencing. It showed me channel racking. It showed me layers. It showed me the necessity of sometimes even using loops, because I didn't know how to like manipulate those one shots the way that I can do it now. So it taught me something. And also too, like, it's a Les Brown story that talks about these two kids who are playing in the middle of the of an ice ring, right? And they're just goofing around, and then one of them breaks the ice where it's thin, and they fall into the ice water. And then the kid that was playing with the other kid finds a tree, breaks off a branch, brings that branch over to his friend, and drags him out of the water, even though that child and that branch were significantly more weight than he weighed. He found the strength somehow, some way. And that fictional story that Les Brown tells about that, he says at the end of it, the fire department came and they said, how did that kid do that? He's so scrawny. How the hell did he do it? He said, because he didn't have anybody around here to tell him that he couldn't. And that was what I think MTV Generator was for me. There was nobody around to tell me that I couldn't do this. There was nobody around to tell me that that's a dumbass idea. That's cheesy. It all sounds trash. Now, that might have created a little bit of delusion for some time period, but at least I went through that delusion. At least I went through it. And I came out the other way, and I found a reason to go somewhere else. Hey, Manny Stale is crazy. That is disrespectful. I programmed my first track on a Radio Shack PC. You should remake it on FL with a lot of bounce. I don't know. That's a challenge. That's a hell of a challenge. I use Beaterator on a PSP. Sony and Nintendo were trying hard to make music software. Remember Mario Paint in 92? Wow, that is, yes. Parappa Rapper, all that stuff. Oh my goodness. Step it on, say bores. All right, let's get into it. We got another one up. I want to say this might be one of the last stories that we have. I do think it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is the last one we have up here. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for riding out and posting up on a Tuesday. We're going to do a special episode tomorrow of Critique My Beats. So if you want to get your music heard, we're going to be doing that. The proceeds of that are going to help your friend Curtis King, as he's independently on a tour currently at the last end of the stretch. And so, yeah, it'll be super dope if y'all can support that. And at the same time, promote your music and all that good stuff. I'll have more information for that after this stream. So the next thing I want to talk about is a video that I shared privately amongst my Patreon community. If you don't know about Patreon, it's patreon.com/Curtis King. But it's another way to look at social media for us as music producers. Because I think that, I think the next campaign that I want to go on is to somehow teach music producers and artists how to become the most creative individuals on social media, because we just have way too much. We have way too much skill to still be doing things that are predictable. We're the most creative human beings on earth. But I think there's things that we do that may make it more challenging than what it needs to be. So I'm going to break this video down into two, because my train of thought that's the way it works. But yeah, let's go to the bumper. Let's get right back into it.
DIY.
DIYers, artists, music producers, there is no mystery that we are some of the most creative beings on earth. The things that we have the ability to do, from taking a 2-second sound that goes like boom and manipulating it, distorting it, stretching it, sliding it, so that it creates some of the amazing things that we do, genre to genre, from R&B to hip-hop to drill to rage. What we do sometimes to other people looks like nothing short of a miracle, right? Those who believe in it understand how much, or why we say that music is a spiritual experience. With that being said, it is sometimes disheartening to see so many creatives that struggle with being creative with social media, with creating content. And the reason why it's disheartening is because, not that I think that we need to be the best content creators in the world, but because I think that by default, our field is based in creativity. And we should be the ones that naturally think outside the box. But I feel like when folks get on social media who are artists, producers, we either get overwhelmed or we just do whatever is safe. And this particular video, it's a very short clip that I found on this thing called The Awakened Creative, is a short animation that breaks down a theory of why music producers or musicians in general may hate social media and how to fix it.
Musicians hate social media because their priority ladder is backwards. They're focused on this, hoping it will lead to this. Instead, flip your ladder. Just share your art. Use that to bring meaning and value, then let the algorithm bring you likes and views from the people who truly connect. Most musicians hate social media because their priority ladder is backwards. They're focused on this, hoping it will lead to this.
Play it again.
Instead, flip your ladder. Just share your art. Use that to bring meaning and value, then let the algorithm bring you likes and views from the people who truly connect. Most musicians hate social media because their priority ladder is backwards. They're focused.
Okay, so as this short clip, animated clip, brilliantly breaks down, most of us as musicians think of social media as an unnecessary hassle at times. We think of it as just another battle that we have to engage in order to get our music heard. And it doesn't have to be a battle. But the reason why I believe that this is a battle for most of us is because we think the only goal is to get as many likes, as many views, and to somehow trick the algorithm. And the idea of tricking the algorithm purposely, to me, is such an arrogant point of view. These algorithms are created by people that, if these algorithms on all these social medias are created by people who are so brilliant in their own right, then combine them in a group of other brilliant human beings, they create this and they update this on a regular basis. It is so sophisticated that those who have a hand in it can't explain every one of its mechanisms, every part of how it works out. So to think that us just putting up some Instagram posts, I tricked the algorithm. It's 7 hashtags you got to put on Instagram, y'all. That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it was. It's naive. and it's even a bit arrogant. But I like what this example says because it's telling you that the reason why it's so frustrating for most of us on social media is because we're thinking of likes and views and algorithm, meaning and value, and then art last. When the only reason that I think I'm on social media and why many of you might be on social media is because of your art. So, I'll play it one more time.
On this, hoping it will lead to this. Instead, flip your ladder. Just share your art. Use that to bring meaning and value. Then let the algorithm bring you likes and...
I like that. So, what he suggests is if you change the blockage that occurs mentally when you think of social media and you flip the ladder and you say, it is my goal, first and foremost, to share my art. And the art is not just the music. The art is the presentation of the music. That's why whenever you need artwork for your song, you get a graphic artist. All of this is art. So the way that you frame your scene of you listening to your art, creating your art, performing your art is a part of the art. The amount of seconds that you use to convey a message is a part of the artistic statement. The colors of your font, the lack of colors, maybe it's in black and white, are all artistic means of expressing yourself. If you focus on that first and you accentuate the things that are meaningful and bring you value. So say, for instance, it is this really, say for me, that would be, I love creating these cinematic displays that look like they could have been out of a movie scene. I get excited about that. Like I love watching movies. I am a huge movie buff. I love watching a scene over and over again and figuring out what makes that so what makes it so captivating for me. So when I can create that within my own house with my camera work, that for me says I am creating a level of entertainment that rivals someone's movie experience by taking this extra thought. Also, I'll use that same cinematic display. Matter of fact, I think it's better to show and not tell in these situations. I use that same cinematic display to teach people so that it's ultimately packed with value. So, with the help of AI. I wish you would just start with volume. That would be amazing. This is how I designed the artwork for my new song with the help of AI. Step 1, I generated an image with the help of AI website Dolly with the following prompt. A 3D render of a woman meditating in front of an oscillating house fan in the middle of a garden, or colorful. We're only a few seconds into it and I'm already introducing to someone, maybe they're familiar with it, maybe they're not, to another way to create artwork for your new song. While, zoom in on this, my instrumental was playing in the background for my new song, This. And matter of fact, this is the first word that I say in the script. And design the artwork for my new song with the help of AI. Step 1, I'm showing you how I made the artwork. So this is behind the scenes. It's a tutorial. It's cinematic. It's cinematic is such an objective word, but it's pleasing to the eyes and it's highly engaging. So when you create that kind of experience, you give somebody an opportunity who otherwise wouldn't even check for your music or give a shit about what Curtis King got to say on a beat. This is how I give them an opportunity to bring them into my world. Even the tonality of my voice matches very closely how I approach the lyrics of the song. It's very calm. These things matter. But to me, that's how I interpret what's being said here, in that I'm giving you the art, I'm giving you the meaning and the value on the front end. And when people say, this is meaningful to me, this is valuable to me, whether aesthetically, whether the information is valuable. And when they say that, they show it in their actions by liking the video, by engaging with the video. But before any of that matters, the algorithm reacts to their actual watching of the video. They may watch this video 4 or 5 times before they leave a comment or a like. So I think that's why likes and views are at the bottom of it. Because ultimately at the bottom of it, that is the result of giving value, presenting your art first, and then going at it that way. So I think that's such a bar. Last thing I want to say is kind of a 2-for-1. It's important to study the things that you like and that you enjoy. But also, I think another reason why the social media experience in terms of creating can be so overwhelming for so many of us as creatives is because of a few different factors. This is one of them I've never even thought about. A lot of people didn't like this video in the comments. I got what I needed from it. It was a little nug of value. Listen to his theory about why sometimes social media can have you feeling extremely overwhelmed.
An Instagram video is 15. Usually, an Instagram video is 15 seconds to 1 minute long. And if you use it for 30 minutes, if it's a 15-second video, you watch 120 videos. If it's usually 1 minute videos, in 30 minutes, you watch almost 30 videos in just half an hour. 30 minutes, 30 videos to 120 videos is basically 30 different emotions to 120 emotions. Each video is different. It has different emotions. One video can be sad, the next one is angry, the next one is happy, the next one is stressful. You keep on switching your emotions every 15 seconds or every 1 minute, which is a huge problem.
So the problem that they have with that video is that he didn't explain the problem. He just said it's a problem. So then I said, you know what? How about I go and ask ChatGPT? From the perspective of a therapist, what is the danger of experiencing too many emotions in a short period of time? And this is the breakdown that you get. From a therapeutic perspective, experiencing a multitude of intense emotions. Oh, you gonna go ahead and do that, huh? You got all of that. I'm not gonna read all that, but from a therapeutic perspective, experiencing a multitude of intense emotions within a condensed period can be overwhelming and potentially harmful. Here are some of the potential dangers: emotional exhaustion, difficulty in emotional regulation, impaired decision-making, increased vulnerability to mental health issues, strained relationships, physical health effects, impeded growth and healing. I share this, and this is how I'm going to tie it all together. Use social media, don't let it use you. I think that when you are sitting on the timeline and you're comparing yourself to other people is one of the most unfair things that you can do for the experience that you have, the gift to provide. You're supposed to give us your story, not their story, not the person that you're a fan story. That's not why people are a fan of you, is not because you're a fan of somebody else. They want to see your story. And I think a lot of us miss out on that opportunity because we are the users we are the used instead of the users of the social media. Don't use social media. Don't let social media use you. Get in and get out. I find that my ideas have been fresher. At the beginning of this year, I slowed down significantly my activity on social media so that I can follow one course until success on YouTube. Here's what following on YouTube did. I focused only on YouTube, and guess what happened? It made me better about my decision making and my art and my value propositions when I went back to social media to create content. It was less about trying to keep up with the Joneses of social media. It was less about being a consumer of social media, a hyper consumer of it. It was more about taking the things that I know that work, dropping in to provide that value, engaging with my audience, taking a step sometimes within a timeline, but understanding that after a certain point, I am no longer using social media and social media is using me for clicks on their ads to increase their pockets. My time equals social media's money. And I think that that is something that ties in a lot of the messages, especially that currency message. If you conserve your energy, if you know why you're on social media, if you account for the time that you spend on social media, it becomes significantly less overwhelming. If you understand what you're supposed to be doing on social media, you feel less lost on social media. You leave yourself less vulnerable to the kaleidoscope of emotions that can occur. That man said within a short period of time, 15-second clips over a duration of time can have you exposed to over 120-something videos. That's nuts. But it's not far-fetched. How many times have you looked, especially on Twitter, you see one clip of a cute little puppy, then you see another clip of an abused child, then you see another clip of somebody spewing hate about a particular group, then you see another clip of somebody getting killed by the police, then you see another clip that's about sports, and you see another clip of two people fighting, and it's just a lot. So I get why we're so overwhelmed by it. But I think it's honestly because, or one major reason that we are, is because we don't account for what we're supposed to be doing on there, how to maneuver on there, and also we haven't figured out the balance of how do I use social media more than it uses me. And most times you're going to lose that game. It's meant and it's made to be addictive. But I hope that at least sharing this with you, because it's helped me, can help you maneuver it just a little bit more. If you have any additional tips or things that you do, feel free to share below.
DIY.
I go so hard when it comes to social media, not because I'm ignorant of the evils that exist. There's evils everywhere. I understand the dangers that it presents, especially to younger kids and their mental health, and to all of us. We all need a break from it. But I also know that so many of us in here are dreamers. So many of us in here are hard workers, and so many of us want to achieve things that are going to require us taking advantage of as many free tools as we can, especially if we don't have the budget to really maximize on these ideas. I truly feel, and I understand why somebody like a Gary Vee talks with so much aggressiveness around it. The special opportunity we're living in is not going to be how it's going to always be. It wasn't even a year ago that Instagram was paying for Reels. That was the easiest money I've probably ever made in my life, because I was going to put up Reels anyways. They're just paying out money for 15-second clips, paying out really well. So I don't want you to look back at this time 20 years from now and be like, damn, that's all I had to do. Because I guarantee you the game's going to get more complex for those that don't adjust. So that's my only thoughts, but I definitely wanted to hear. The AI cover art tip is dope. Toby, I appreciate you. Facts, like how those artists are fans of other artists, have a whole copycat origin story similar to their favorite artists. It's alone. Oh, you're talking about the original story. I can tell when somebody came in here later. Instagram seems strange. I've seen people with 0 videos or photos with 50K followers. That's why you got to stop following, man. You got to stop following random accounts. You got to stop following them, because honestly, they'll have you scratching your head at things that don't matter. Things that really don't matter. I think that you could easily do that and or start an online course for music production, Curtis. I have a few courses, curtisking.com. Right now we're doing at patreon.com/Curtis King. We're doing a social media boot camp, and I'm excited to see how this continues to progress. It's my first one ever in terms of the group. What's up, Randy Swag? But yeah, definitely stuff that I want to make sure that you're exposed to. I try not to be on socials for at least the first 30 minutes of the day. Yeah, if you have the chance, charge your phone in a completely different room, or make it to where just buy like a cheap ass analog clock or digital clock if you need it for your for that. But I feel like slowly weaning yourself off of it, putting your phone on grayscale, When you know that you've been on it for way too long, put it on grayscale and watch your screen time go down. But yeah, little steps like that can definitely make a difference. But I got more stories for you, but I think that's all we need. That's all we need. That's all we need. What do we do? We did like 4-5 stories. What's today? Tuesday. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we got enough. We got enough. I'm going on tour Thursday. The last end of the tour. We got to go to Bakersfield, so that means I got to get this content done in advance. I'm glad to be able to do these stories. It don't feel like crazy work. It feels like I'm able to just have these conversations free flow with my friends who happen to be here. And it's super dope. Respectfully, UOY, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. We haven't talked about that story that is the lead story here for almost 2 hours and 36 minutes. So you doing a whole lot of ranting. Save it for the video when it come out. Cause at this point you just type it in caps to yourself. This is outro music. It's ain't rant music. It's outro music. Folks be coming in here on 10 and it's like it's the last call. And you dancing at full speed on the dance floor. Fast forward the video. We already moved forward. He in there. He is the last person in the club right now dancing at full speed. He don't even probably hear this conversation, which is funny. You're the last person in the club just. You're Terry Crews in the movie White Chicks. That's what you are right now. And I hope you see this 2 hours later. He gonna laugh about this in 2 hours. That's the follow up to he gonna cry in the car. He gonna laugh about this in 2 hours. We gonna be gone. That's hilarious. He is in there with that whistle, shirtless like Terry Crews, going off. He ranting about something. We didn't stop talking about that hours ago. Bro needed to change his name to the Mad Minute. He ranting 24/7 and show over. You know why I don't buy that? Because he see this chat. This chat for sure is different. It's all good, though. We wish him the most. We appreciate your viewership. I just want you to save your energy because I'm about to end the stream. My friends, have an amazing night. I'll be back here tomorrow for another Critique My Beats. Good session. Y'all rock with that today? He's still going. It's like being in the Matrix. That shit crazy. Be well. Same to you now. Just Jux. Y'all have an amazing night. I appreciate every single one of you. More stories dropping, more content dropping, all that good stuff. All right. Appreciate y'all. All right, here we out. Have a good one. DIYers, if you enjoyed this content, make sure that you hit the like button and maybe even consider subscribing. Come on, man. Don't be greedy. Go on and let the people know that you enjoy what you're seeing. I'll see you soon. Peace.